Hello and welcome to my channel. This is my top 10 favorite moments in movies. This week we're going to be talking about National Lampoon's Vacation. Sometimes referred to as Vacation, is a 1983 American road comedy film directed by the late Harold Ramis, and of course starring Chevy Chase, Beverly D'Angelo, Randy Quaid, Dana Barron, and Anthony Michael Hall. National Lampoon's Vacation is arguably one of the most beloved comedies of all time, and though isn't my favorite entry in the franchise, still one of the greatest. And one of the biggest reasons for this is, of course, Chevy Chase and his titular character, Clark Griswold. And that's where our video comes in today. This is my top 10 favorite Chevy Chase moments in National Lampoon's Vacation. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, number 10 comes in an early scene when the family is driving the roadster and the kids are arguing in the back seat when the trip starts to take its toll on Clark. This is when, for the first time in the film, Christy Brinkley shows up in the red Ferrari and starts flirting. The moment here for me is after the encounter with the beauty, and Chevy begins to sing a small little verse.
Love for sale, ties and yummy love for...
This entry is a small little moment that has always made me chuckle. When Clark greets the little girl and Eddie mentions that she was born without a tongue, Chevy makes this awkward laugh. And I love this because it just furthers the tension surrounding this weird family and shows how much Clark hates being there, though he's willing to do anything in any way to be civil with his wife's kin. This spot comes later in the film when the family makes their way to the souvenir town of Dodge City and eventually lands at the bar where Clark decides to have a little fun with the bartender. The bartender then does this. Look, as funny as this isn't what gets me going. It's the way that Clark plays off his fear as only Chevy can do. And then he caps it off this time with a more respectful tone.
Pardon me, sir?
This scene is when the Griswolds accidentally turn into a part of town where, I don't know, let's say they were unfamiliar with. And the gang needs some directions. So Clark gets out and asks for some help, and this is the response he gets.
Yo, mama. Thank you very much.
Look, there's also a great moment when they get their hubcaps stolen off the car, but I love the way this shot is edited and with the immediate response that Clark gives afterwards. It's just fantastic.
Say, excuse me, Holmes?
Number 6 is the third encounter with Brinkley as she and Clark exchange looks while driving down the highway. This leads to Clark almost being hit by a truck and spinning off the road. Looking as funny as this is to me, the best part goes once again to Chevy and how he plays the fear, while sweat pours down his face. Absolutely hilarious. God, I love this part. After the roadster careens off the side of the road and crashes, Clark decides to venture out into the desert to find a gas station. This leads him to be lost and dying in the heat at the middle of the afternoon. Okay, what gets me is when he finally finds his way to the station, where his family's there waiting. Excited and delirious, he greets them once again, playing off the fact that he is in any discomfort, attending to the needs of his happy family until he just can't take it anymore. Stares them in the eyes and says,
Hey, kids, you thirsty?
It's fantastic. It's just so good. After dropping off the dead Aunt Edna on the front porch of her son's house, the Griswolds start to second guess the trip at hand. The kids and Ellen think that it might be a good idea to just fly home. This does not go over well with Clark. Ending with what becomes a staple in the Vacation franchise, a rant in the car that solidifies the notion that they have come way too far to quit, and by hell or high water, they're going to Wallywood.
Don't touch!
Most of you probably guessed that this would be in here, and that's the Wally Moose scene. This is at the end of the film when the family arrives at the park and finds out that it's closed for repairs. Of course, this leads to another small rant from Clark as he punches the nose of the cartoon character. Though what gets me every time specifically is when he says this.
Don't be scared. I just think somebody owes us an explanation, that's all.
Every time. Okay, now we're getting down to the final two, and this was hard for me. So maybe you've said to yourself that, how can you put that one over this one, or this one over that one, and so forth, and what have you. And I'm sure this is probably going to be one that you might feel the same way. Early in the movie, the family has to stop for some gas, which serves to be more of a task on this thing when Clark tries to find the gas tank. When observing the car next to him, he gets an idea. And finally, the last spot goes to a small moment early at Eddie's farm. After dinner, the kids go to their rooms, and the adults are left alone in the living room by themselves when eventually Eddie asks if maybe Clark could spare some cash. When Clark abides, he pulls out his wallet to offer Eddie some money when he says this.
About $52,000.
The way Chevy puts his money back into his wallet is so funny to me, I had to give this the top spot on the list. All right, that's going to do it for this particular episode. I just want to say thank you so much. Leave a like and subscribe if you liked what you saw. Hit the little notification bell to be notified whenever I drop any more of these videos. And until next time, take care.